Hi guys, my name is Cash and welcome to CashedOutCars. This video is an extremely exciting one for me and I hope it's extremely exciting for you guys too. This video is the first in the series of me turboing my Miata. So I've looked at a lot of different options on how to turbo a Miata. I've watched tons of people turbo Miatas and I've decided to go a very budget and DIY oriented route. Now, I'm going this way because 1, I like figuring out how to make stuff work for cheap, and 2, I think it'll be a great way for me to learn about how to turbo a car and teach you guys a lot along the way. So, before we get too in-depth into this video, I'm going to go over all the parts and everything that I have so far to turbo my car and the general plan for it. I want to go over the name. So the videos that are going to have helped me the most on this build is Greg Peters with the CarPassionChannel's Broke and Boosted series. Now, if you haven't watched that series, 100% go check it out. It shows you basically everything you need to know to do a budget DIY turbo build on a Miata, and I'm loosely going to be following that for my own build. Now, I've spoke to him and I got clearance to use this name, but the name for my budget turbo build is 2Broke2Boosted. So, like I said, I love that Greg Peters has all of his great videos on how to turbo his Miata. I am not going to follow it exactly, and I'm definitely taking my own twists, and I'm going to be using a lot of different parts than he used on his build. But the general idea of what he did, from turboing a Miata, showing you how to do it on a budget, and also really teaching his viewers about the parts that he used and how to do it, is what I want to do with this build, and therefore, 2Broke2Boosted. The budget that I'm setting to turbo my Miata is $1,500. Now, I think I will be able to get that $1,500 mark. I've priced everything out, and it looks like we're going to be able to clear that. Like I said, we are not using the highest quality parts. We're certainly using a lot of cheap parts, and used alternatives would make stuff even cheaper. So I'm going to be pricing everything out as we go, but like I said, $1,500 is the target budget for this build. Before I go over the parts that I have so far in the general plan, I want to say that this is going to be different than Broke and Boosted because I'm starting off with the standalone ECU. Now, in the Broke and Boosted series, he used a fuel management unit and used the stock ECU and later upgraded to a standalone, but in this video I'm starting with the standalone ECU and building from there. Now this, in my opinion, is the proper way to turbo a car because then you have full control over your fuel and your spark, and I'm going to be taking you along for the process as I install that in my car. More things to clear up before we get into this is I am not trying to make this car a dyno queen. I do not really care about how much power it makes in the end. I just want it turboed, fairly reliable, and a lot more fun to drive. And I don't care if it makes 150 horsepower or 200 horsepower. At the end of the day, like I said, this thing's going to be a very fun project for me and a great learning experience for myself and you guys. And I just want to have fun with it, not really try to set insane dyno numbers or anything like that. Eventually, I probably will dyno it to see how much it does make, but I don't have a specific target power goal in mind. Also, I want you to keep in mind that currently this is a stock 1.6 liter Miata with very basic powertrain mods. I mean, an intake and a header really isn't anything, and the header is going to be leaving anyway. And I fully expect to need to replace the clutch down the line, and I expect that my viscous limited slip diff probably won't hold up to too much power. So I'm going to be throwing these turbo parts at this car expecting additional stuff to break, and when that stuff starts to go, I'm not including it in that $1,500 budget. So with that said, let me give you a quick overview of the parts that I have so far. With every video of this build series, I'm going to be having an in-depth installation on all of these parts and also a review down the line. And also as I go, I expect to do a vlog style video along with a in-depth tutorial on how to install all these parts. So without further ado, let's go over what we have so far for this build. So starting out here, we have the ECU. This is going to be the brains of this project and what controls spark and fuel, and really make sure that this engine could handle the turbo without leaning out, and also making sure that it's fully tunable. Now what this is a Speedy EFI. This is a Speedwino kit, which is based on a Speedwino computer, basically, and this is a complete plug-and-play kit that plugs directly into the car and allows me to control spark and fueling. So this is the brains of the car. It also comes with a throttle position sensor adapter, vacuum line to hook up the map sensor on this computer, and additionally it comes with an intake air temperature sensor, which is down there. So this is a very complete kit. That's going to be awesome, and that's going to be the first thing that we install with this build, alongside our AEM Performance AFR gauge. Now, this is something that I didn't want to cheap out on this build, because it's really important that you get good AFR readings so you don't blow up your car. So I went ahead and sprung for this AEM Performance gauge, and that should be pretty sweet. So this is really going to be the first install part on this build series, and then we'll move into getting that standalone ECU going. After that, I have RX-8 yellow injectors coming in. They're currently being rebuilt, and once I get those in, I'll be upgrading to those. That way we could get the engine the fuel that it'll need to handle the turbo. And then from there, let's get into the turbo parts. Now, as I said, this very much is a budget build. We are going to be using the same manifold that Greg Peters used on the Car Passion channel, Broke and Boosted, but 2Broke and Boosted is going to use the same eBay manifold. These are very hard to find these days. I found this thing used, luckily, and it was pretty cheap. So I have this. It's used but brand new. Basically, it was an open box. That's a T3 flange. To go along with that, I have an eBay turbo here, which I will take out. This is a 50 trim 0.48 AR exhaust housing, so I wanted something that would spool pretty quick. It's down in there. Honestly, I'm not even going to go too in depth on what this turbo is in this video, but it's basically a cheaper eBay turbo that is sized what should be pretty good for this car. It's not the 0.5 AR turbo that's super cheap on eBay, that's internally gated, that most people build, because I think that had a 76mm compressor wheel, and that for something like this project was going to be way too much. So this is slightly smaller. I'll get into a review and specs on this thing later, but currently that one is not internally gated, but it could be. So I have a internally gated wastegate kit here that I'm going to be setting up on that turbo, which will be another video in this series. Also, this came with some oil lines and some fittings, but I'll need to buy more. So we have that. Here we have another super cheap part that I expect I'll probably have to replace pretty soon, but this is a eBay blow-off valve that is a knockoff of the HKS blow-off valves. It's basically the same design, but made cheaper. So honestly, I don't have super high hopes for this, but we're going to try it out. That thing was $40 for the blow-off valve and the adapter for the intercooler piping, which is in this box here. So I figure if that blow-off valve absolutely sucks, I could just get a real one and put it onto this pipe anyway, and for that kind of money it would be worth it for the entertainment and to see how the thing performs. So that's the main components that I currently have for this Miata. I'm waiting on an intercooler to come in, and the plan is to do an over-the-top intercooler setup. So your piping will come here, it'll go down below in front of the radiator, have the intercooler right there, and then come back up into the intake. I like that design because it's pretty cool and it doesn't require that much piping, and hopefully it'll be a lot easier to route than doing a front mount intercooler. Now if I get the thing and it looks like it really won't fit there and I'm not going to be able to do what I plan on doing, I might front mount it, but for now that's the tentative plan. Obviously this isn't everything that I need yet, and parts will still be rolling in, but this is what I have so far, and I just wanted to show you guys that and sort of update you on what the plan is for this car. Now, there are some videos that are still going to be coming out while this turbo build is going on. I have a full review of that header coming up and a couple other videos as I sort of transition from a non-turboed car to a turboed car, and it's just going to be tons of content for you guys, and I hope you're as excited as I am because I'm super pumped to start this build. So guys, with all that said, that is going to wrap up this video. I am super excited to start turboing my car. 2Broke2Boosted is going to be awesome. I think you guys will learn a ton from this video series and get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I know I will. And overall, yeah, I'm just super excited to start this. If you're interested in seeing the next episode of 2Broke2Boosted right now, you could go ahead on Patreon. I have the link in the description. And if you support the channel through that, you'll be able to see every episode of 2Broke2Boosted early before everyone else does right here on this channel. So, with all that said, please like this video if you liked it, comment down below if you're excited, and subscribe for more. I can't wait to share with you the next one.